Welcome to Food and Facilities, an online show for Planting to Processing Magazine, formerly West Coast Industrial Solutions Magazine. Watch what you read for safety, compliance, and innovation news within manufacturing, agriculture, food processing, and food and beverage industries. In this episode, we'll be discussing resources for entrepreneurs with Mark Jackson of Dolphin Engineering and Kent Pelissari of The Pie Shop. And we'll also be discussing resources for farmers with Vicky Espinoza of CaliWaterAg. Welcome to Food and Facilities. I'm Tara Sweeney, Marketing Director for West Coast Industrial Solutions Magazine, soon to be Planting to Processing Magazine. Check out our website at wcismag.com/subscribe or /advertise for all safety and compliance news in manufacturing, food and beverage, food processing, and agriculture. Make sure to reach out to our sponsor, Fine Print Plus. They're your source for printing, packing, and promotion. If you mention this ad, you'll get 500 free business cards with purchase. They do graphic design, print and copies, custom apparel, promotional items, parcel service, and a will call and delivery service. If you want to reach out to them, make sure to give them a call at 559-237-4747 or give them an email at graphics@fineprintplus.com or request a quote at fineprintplus.com/quote. And my first guest today is Vicky Espinoza of CaliWaterAg, and she will be discussing Sigma and how she's planning to help farmers of color. I'm here with Vicky Espinoza of CaliWaterAg, and she's here to discuss the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act with us today. Vicky?
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction and thank you for having me today, Tara. I'm excited to talk about CaliWaterAg and my doctoral work concerning Sigma and its implications on agricultural land in the San Joaquin Valley.
Can you give us a little background on yourself and CaliWaterAg and why you decided to start such an informational video series?
So I'm currently a PhD candidate at UC Merced, and my doctoral work focuses on addressing how Sigma could impact agricultural land and how these land use changes could impact our communities and farmers throughout the San Joaquin Valley. So many studies have projected that more than 10% of agricultural land could go out of production to address groundwater overdraft by 2040, as per Sigma. So taking land out of production is difficult and is something that can't be done randomly, since there are impacts to people's livelihoods and the economy. So my work addresses how and where this could happen in a way that minimizes impacts to already vulnerable communities and farmers in the valley. And CaliWaterAg is kind of a byproduct of this work, because of this work, or the model that I'm creating, takes community and farmer input to help inform the types of land use distributions or the types of land uses that community members and farmers would like to see in and around their communities. And I was invited to be a panelist at the Latino Farmer Conference 2 years ago. And I was in disbelief in just knowing that a lot of our Latino farmers, most of them with groundwater dependent operations, did not know much about Sigma. And so some of them asked me to visit with them at their ranch or their farm, and I gave them a Spanish workshop on Sigma. So it all began really with these organizing these workshops, these in-person workshops. Due to COVID, CaliWaterAg was a result. So continuing to do outreach through this YouTube channel.
Do you see language as a major barrier in access to information and resources for Sigma?
That is a limitation at the moment. You know, a lot of the information is available in English, and if there are translations, which there are some out there, it's usually embedded within English language content. So it's fairly difficult for someone that's monolingual to find these resources.
What are some of the main barriers that you've noticed with growers having more information on SGMA and the issues with being able to be compliant with it?
Yeah, some of the limitations are in terms of information access would be particularly with our monolingual or small scale farmers that aren't really in the loop with irrigation districts or their GSA. There is a lot of broadband limitation throughout the valley. And so access or communication through the web or through email is just not something that is accessible for some people. Through hundreds of conversations with community members and farmers, I've learned that in-person and mail-in forms are the most helpful for them or the most preferred.
What kind of resources do you need to be able to help more people?
So I would love to continue growing CaliWaterAg and continue creating videos, not that go beyond SGMA. So this channel is to foster a better understanding of science and policy behind water and land use management. So in moving forward and creating more material, trilingual material. So the channel is now trilingual. There's English, Spanish, and Hmong. A lot of the resources need to go through funding the translations of these videos. And yeah, I would love to move forward and continue providing this information for our Latino and Hmong community members.
What is something you wish more people knew about the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act?
I would love people to understand that SGMA is a tool that is helping us address a key issue here in California and throughout the valley, and that is groundwater overdraft. So it's really creating an opportunity for how we think about management of our water and our land so that we can address this very critical issue, which is groundwater overdraft.
I know a lot of growers and citizens in California have seen the issues with drought and how overdraft can play a role in that. For land use, do you have any specific suggestions to help with SGMA compliance?
That's something that my work aims to address, is how to strategize or provide some sort of insight of where different land uses could be ideal or optimal for implementation. And that's based on climate, it's based off of user or community preference, which is something that's new, at least for this model. Soil type, crop type, water requirements, and the water amounts within regions. I would suggest at least the video, the CaliWaterAg video, the fourth video goes through a couple of options that have been considered. So that's just out there for people to consider the potential options. There's nothing concrete into favoring one or the other. A lot of these multi-benefit options allow growers to implement it along with their agriculture. So implementing it on a piece of their land or to work with whatever crops they're growing.
Are there any sustainable or regenerative methods that you've seen that have been especially helpful with this?
You know, I've seen the implementation, and there are studies being done on the implementation of flood managed aquifer recharge on orchards. And that is just depending on the type, the soil type, and whether the trees are able to sustain themselves in saturated conditions. So there's a lot of work being done around flood managed aquifer recharge. Also with the implementation of cover crops. That's another one that's being talked about quite often nowadays.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up for today?
Yes, I would love to encourage our farmers and community members to really learn about the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, and for them to know that they too can have a say in informing these groundwater sustainability plans. These plans are not set in stone. They're going to be changing according to what is working and what isn't working within the next 5 to 20 years. So I encourage them to become involved, to have a say in it, to give their opinions and their lived experiences, because they are valuable.
If our listeners and viewers wanted to collaborate with you, how would they best get in contact with you?
If they want to do a collaboration on a video, they can go ahead and email me at caliwaterag@gmail.com. So that's CaliWaterAg@gmail.com.
Thank you for meeting with me today, Vicky. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you so much for having me.
And make sure to reach out to Vicky Espinoza at CaliWaterAg on YouTube, or give her an email at CaliWaterAg@gmail.com, or you can give her a call at 323-547-5506. And make sure to reach out to our sponsor, Dynamic Coatings Incorporated, or DCI Flooring. They're a concrete restoration and flooring solution. They offer seamless, antimicrobial, durable, dustproof, and fast cure concrete solutions. They are USDA, FDA, OSHA, and HACCP approved. You can reach them at their Sacramento location at 916-485-6800, their Oakland location at 510-352-7000, their Fresno location at 559-225-4605, and their Los Angeles location at 562-634-9887. And my next guests are Mark Jackson of Blue Dolphin Engineering and Kent Pelissari of the Pie Shop. I'm here with my guests, Mark Jackson of Blue Dolphin Engineering and Kent Pelissari of the Pie Shop, and they're here to discuss their operation and what they've been doing to create PPE during the pandemic. Kent, Mark?
Yeah, thanks for having us. So a little background, Blue Dolphin Engineering. I started Blue Dolphin Engineering 22 years ago. My schooling was, I was educated as a mechanical engineer at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and worked for a variety of different industries, including aerospace, and one of the first commercial rocket ventures years ago, way before SpaceX. And after having done, worked for a number of different companies doing state-of-the-art stuff, I decided to start my own business. And so 22 years ago, started out. And so for the past 2 decades, what we've been doing is helping entrepreneurs, startups, as well as small and existing large businesses and the government help develop ideas, whether they're products, machines, processes. We do the engineering, the design, the analysis. Often we do the prototyping. We have an 8,000 square foot shop full of all sorts of machines and things that allow us to make stuff and very complicated things. So over those 22 years, we've probably interfaced with over 400 different clients all over the world. Everybody from, like I said, very small, simple consumer products to very large machines to things that fly. So a few years ago, all of this work, one of the things we realized was that dealing with all these entrepreneurs and businesses, that they didn't always have all the other aspects, the other disciplines or knowledge to help them create a business. Just because you have an idea and you're an expert at that idea doesn't mean you can make it a business. So that led to the formation of the Pie Shop. And so the Pie Shop is a business incubator that is focused around products, and it's a nonprofit. And Kent is what we call our director of product tours. You want to expand on some of this?
I'd be happy to, absolutely. So my position here at the Pie Shop is mainly to go through and work with the entrepreneurs, students of UC Merced Capstone team and Fresno State Capstone team, and go through the phases to see if the product is actually viable for one, two, to also challenge the idea. And that's where Blue Dolphin comes in as well. They challenge the design, the engineering aspect. And then on the other side of that is that I also go through the ideation phase and then to possibly go into market phase, and then seeing what kind of capital they would need to actually launch to market. So, and a little bit about my background and about myself is I graduated from Clovis West in '02 and went down to LA and graduated with a psychology communication degree from Long Beach State. Went on to further education at UCLA extended programs for management and business. Worked for an investment banking consulting firm called Grow Like a Tree, Think Like a Brain. Learned a lot about investment banking consulting, feasibility studies, private placement memorandums, and I also was a business development and business consultant there for about 3.5 years. Then I moved back to Fresno to be with my now wife, and worked for a local coffee chain that's still expanding to this day. I was their CFO and general manager for that coffee chain. And then I did some more side consulting, and then Mark picked me up to work at the pie shop. And now we're doing a lot more than just product development and product incubation and business acceleration. We're trying to change Fresno and the Central Valley from an economic development standpoint as well. And we're working with city council people on the economic development side of Fresno as well, and working with the universities, of course, because this all kind of stems together and kind of works together, because learning from this process to get people who are young entrepreneurs to, middle-aged entrepreneurs to older entrepreneurs, they need help with either launching or direction where to go, how to get started. And that's why the pie shop is so necessary to have in the Central Valley, because there's nothing like the pie shop in the Central Valley. So kind of just stemming off what Mark said, this needed to happen in Fresno, and then that's why Mark started it, which we're in the development phase of trying to expand that idea and get everyone involved. So happy to be here.
So interesting enough, you had asked about the PPE, Tara. We, a year ago, which was almost a year ago to the day, I guess, everything kind of went into lockdown, and we were very conscious of that. Blue Dolphin, we were used to working remotely, so it wasn't a big deal for us to all go home and work remotely. We were being very careful at the time because we didn't know what we were into. But it also affected the pie shop. And we sort of had to stop operations. We still had members and we were still trying to help them out. But the unique thing about the pie shop is that we have an 8,000 square foot shop, and you have to be in the shop to take advantage of it. And although they could still take advantage of being near Blue Dolphin Engineering and get advice from us, the shop was kind of closed for a while. Well, around about the same time that this all happened, there was a maker movement in place that people are using 3D printers and all sorts of, scissors and whatever to make personal protection gear. And we were contacted by some of the makers and asked if they could use, we have 5 3D printers, and we were asked, well, can we use your 3D printers to help us build a supply of face shields and other stuff? And we said, sure, yeah, we'll donate whatever, we'll just start making whatever you need. And as we started doing that, we realized there was an issue in that very slow process. I mean, it was great because it worked, but it's very slow. They could make one every, hour, or a couple hours or whatever. It was just slow process. So because we're engineers and we think about stuff, and we have a big 4x8 laser table, we figured out, we had one of my engineers, Cody, came up with a great design that could be laser cut. And we got raw material, and we could make 100 face shields in an hour. And so we got donations from the community.
We got Central Valley Community Foundation donated, right. Hidden Wealth as well.
The Hispanic Foundation donated. We got hundreds of donations through other people throughout the community, doctors, whoever. And what that allowed us to do is distribute, close to probably 4,000 of these face shields throughout Valley Children's, community hospitals, whatever, all over the place for frontline workers and medical workers. It was an interesting transition, and we were working nonstop all of a sudden to try to make PPE. And then it also led to the Office of Community and Economic Development at Fresno State. They asked if we could make some dividers for their cubicles. And so we came up with a design. Once again, we're engineers, we like doing this stuff. So we came up with a design where we could, using our large three-dimensional router table, make what we called Flubicles. And what they are these 6 foot by 6 foot by 7 foot tall, basically boxes that you can put around a desk that have a sliding door, and it's all, you can see through it. And so you can see everybody. So it's like wearing a huge face shield, but allows you to have desks, right next to each other, and allowed their office to continue working in some respect because they have a call center. And so we started making those things. Kat, you might want to talk about some of the, I guess you had to install some of these. So.
Add to that, I got to install, I think there's maybe 10 more left, but I did mostly everything by myself. So that goes kind of back to Blue Dolphin designing something that one person could put up these cubicles on their own. So it was actually a great design, didn't have any problems assembling the cubicles. It was just, the problem is getting them in there and having to abide by all the rules and safety rules. So that was the only issue, is just making time so we could work around, the safety protocols that they had at OSET. So, but other than that, came together great. They're beautiful. You can actually see pictures on our Instagram, the Pie Shop Instagram, Fresno, and you can see how they turned out. They turned out beautiful.
Yeah, fun project.
Yeah, very fun.
Some other ways that you've had to adapt to the pandemic for manufacturing and engineering.
Of course, like with most people, our meetings are a lot of Zoom and Teams meeting. We have at least one Teams meeting of our team every week. And we had used it to some extent in the past, so we weren't unfamiliar with it, but that, of course, is an issue. A lot of times when we're working with people, we're working with things that exist. And so it's tough to convey ideas sometimes over a team meeting. And that was one of the challenges. Also, some of the challenges were business. I mean, some of our business just kind of stopped, and as it did for many people. But one of the interesting things that happened with COVID was, for us, and for some manufacturers, for example, let's just talk about PPE gear. There are some manufacturers that retooled like we did and did a tremendous amount of business, and still are in PPE, and which was pretty interesting to see that happen. They had to pivot very quickly, find suppliers, which was the biggest problem, and of material, and start making PPE. But also think about all the food processing that's done here in the Valley. So maybe you had an assembly line where you had workers working side by side making food and packaging it or something. Now all of a sudden you couldn't do that. They had to stand 6 feet apart, and they had to wear masks, and they had to do whatever. Well, what are you going to do when you can only have 1/3 the workers on the line, and you still got to make the food? Well, it means you have to increase your line, or you have to automate, or you have to do all sorts of things. Well, just those aspects, I have to automate, or I have to make another line or whatever, that created work for us and for other businesses in manufacturing in the Valley. Big challenge though, making sure everybody's safe. That's the thing, for us, it's been a constant challenge, and we've done very well that everybody's stayed fairly healthy. So it's been pretty good, but some interesting things happen, and some of those things aren't going to change. They won't return back to the normal. Well, they'll be different. So that's some of what we've seen.
So to add to that, we've come up with with another form of learning, an internship. I'm working with Fresno Unified School District and now Clovis Unified School District to create internships at the Pie Shop, and with the students and the high school students and also the college students at Reedley. We've had to get really creative on how to provide an internship. It's really never been done. I haven't seen one yet where unless it's a media related or computer related, but having an internship for the future members or the students at a high school level or at a college level. We're actually developing that program right now. And you'd think, well, how does it work? Well, that's what we're trying to work through. We're very innovative here at Blue Dolphin and at the Pie Shop, but we're still working it out. But I think it's going to launch here in about a month or two, and we're going to test it out to see how these virtual internships go for students, because that's one of the drawbacks when you're trying to apply for a college or for a job and you need training on something. How do you get trained and how do you do internships with COVID-19? So I'm really excited to see how this pans out, the first launch of this virtual internship. But that's why we're kind of trying to be innovative, even at the learning stage and high school levels. So,
What are some future projects and plans that you have slated that you would like to share with us?
I'm excited about that one. So we're working with Jerry Buckley. He's the president at Reedley College. And we are working with him and a lot of the other staff members. They took a tour here. We're bridging a program for the students at Reedley College and Pie Shop to come here and use our resources and also make a product or make a thing they're working on that's related to either Reedley College or something, or if they're entrepreneurs, something they're trying to make as well. So we got some files recently. I don't know if I can talk about it yet because it's confidential, but we have we're already getting files from someone who's working with Reedley College to design a structure. So, and they need to make these special, can I even say that? These special braces that,
yeah,
careful.
be careful, yeah.
Special braces that they need us that they're going to manufacture here within the Pie Shop. So that's very exciting now. So we're about to launch that program beginning of, I believe, April. So exciting.
What's been interesting, because we have a large shop, is we actually we understood with the social distancing that we actually can have people have a presence in the shop, multiple people. It's a big place and people can be spread out, and there's, it's not confined and there's huge airflow and everything else. So so that the part that's the most specific about the Pie Shop is still accessible. And so some of the things though have shifted. We had a series called The Entrepreneur's Journey, and Kent was in charge of that series, and we had several events here where we would have everybody here and have food for them and do part of the series, and that had to stop, of course. So that's going to become virtual now, and so that'll be starting soon. Projects wise, it's interesting. We're starting to get people who have transplanted from, for example, the Bay Area now, because they can work remotely. So now they're here in the Central Valley. So we're starting to see people who are, weren't Valley oriented. Now they're here from other areas, and they're starting to utilize Pie Shop and Blue Dolphin. So there's been a shift there, which is a good shift. It's about time that people understand the resources we have here in the Central Valley. And so it's been nice to see that too.
Any specific resources that other people could help you with or that you need?
Yeah, for us, always the big thing for us, for example, this podcast is getting the word out there, getting help, letting people understand what we do and that we are here in the Valley, and that our services are pretty wide and varied. For example, if you're a member at the Pie Shop, you always have the expertise of Blue Dolphin engineers to give you advice, and that alone, if there was nothing else, I have a world-class engineering team here, and we can give you 5 minutes of our advice could help save you 5 months of work, literally. And so We also have a relationship with Coleman and Horowitz, which is a regional law firm, and they have free or low fee type services related to business advice, business agreements, intellectual property. We have a relationship with Sensibo San Filippo, which is a regional accounting firm, and they do the same thing, the SBA. So we have a lot of resources that are available, to the members and whatnot. And so getting the word out there that if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a startup and you need help, that it's here, and it's probably inexpensive or not as much as you would expect, or it's worthwhile at least looking into. So that's a big need from our standpoint. And then another need for that is the Pie Shop is a 501c3, so we're always looking for funding to help sustain the operations here. Where there's all sorts of Blue Dolphin definitely supports the Pie Shop, but we're always looking for different types of funding and donations and that kind of stuff. We have the members pay fees, but we're trying to always balance all those things to help with sustainability. So anybody wants to donate, go to our website. They can donate there and they'll get a tax-free donation for their taxes. So things like that. I don't know if you can think of anything that, specifically really, but that we need help with or looking for.
I'm working on with the city of Fresno is retaining and also attracting talent and professionals to the Central Valley. So we need more mentors here. We need more people involved in the community, because those people from the Bay Area and LA, they live here now, and they came from resources where it was like, hey, I can go down the street. I can have a guy who's a couple miles away from me. And now they're here and they're like, okay, we want to see Fresno change too. And they are willing and committed to make that happen. Volunteering for the Pie Shop is one of them, because then they get in the conversation of how to see and how to change Fresno and the Central Valley from within instead of just being an outsider. So that's what we need, just more community involvement, because a lot of these people from the Bay Area and LA and major cities are moving here and they see the potential of Fresno. It's just they want to get it started right away. And since COVID happened, we're just trying to get that coalition going right now. So I just think it's just great that people are now seeing that the Central Valley is a place to start a business, and now the city's getting involved, and that's just what's really great about it. It's finally it's happening, and it's kind of shocking, but it's finally happening. It's great.
And if our listeners and viewers wanted to reach out to collaborate or to use your services, how would they best get a hold of you?
But it's as simple as this, since I would have to give my email. It's info@thepieshop.org. That will go to the office manager, myself, and if they have any inquiries about membership, how the Pie Shop works, what machines we have, that email will go to me and some other staff members at the Pie Shop too. So it's just info@thepieshop.org.
Pie Shop is spelled THEPISHOP. So that's the best way. Go to the website. You can see a lot of information there, as well as other contact info there. But info is a real good way of getting a hold of us.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we close for today?
We really appreciate your taking the time with us. As I said, getting the word out there about what we do, it's a constant thing, and it's gaining a lot of organic momentum. So we really appreciate your time doing this. And that's a big thing for us.
Tara and I have also been volunteering for Fresno Unified to help the younger generation, like in high school, sophomores, juniors, seniors for job applications. So, everyone being involved in doing that at a young level really helps just the development of Fresno within, and it retains those people to stay here because it feels like someone cares. So Tara, thank you for doing that as well. And also volunteering your time to interview us in the Pie Shop and Blue Dolphin. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you both, gentlemen. And I hope you have a good day.
You too.
I'll see you.
Bye.
And make sure to reach out to Mark Jackson at info@bluedolphinengineering.com or give Blue Dolphin Engineering a call at 559-222-4111. And you can reach Kent Pelissari at info@thepishop.org, and that's THEPISHOP.org. Or you can give him a call at 559-481-5004 at extension 182. And now we will have a moment of silence for our Black Lives Matter community. Processing Magazine, formerly West Coast Industrial Solutions Magazine. Watch what you read for safety, compliance, and innovation.